Good evening, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. We're going to work through some different practices that will help you with anxiety. It's a big part of what I teach. It's a big part of my experience of life, and it is something that I'm really keen to share with you guys. So before we start, let's literally get straight into one of the first practices. So when you're ready, just coming to sit comfortably. And just softly closing your eyes. And really remembering as we move through all of these practices today, they're all going to be recorded. So you can let go of the part of you that is desiring to hold on to this information right now. You can just enjoy it and participate fully or as fully as you feel you want to, knowing that you're going to get a recording of this in your inbox. So there's nothing you need to worry about remembering. Okay. So this is something I like to call the presence practice. And it can be used on or off the mat. It can be used through the day. It can be used to help you go to sleep. I like to use it myself as a little opportunity to check in and just see how I'm doing. So let's get into this together. So just softly closing the eyes if you haven't already done so. And just coming to notice the physical body. Noticing the position of your head over your shoulders. Noticing the expression on your face. Noticing the shoulders and arms. Noticing the hands and fingers. Noticing the position of your torso. In particular, if you can, just tracking the spine. Noticing your lower back. And then paying a little attention to your pelvis. Noticing what's happening through the hips. And then following down through both legs. And noticing your feet. Each and every toe. Just noticing your whole body. Your whole body, just as it is. We don't judge it. We don't attach to the stories. And we're not even seeking to change. We're just noticing how the body is in this moment. Honoring yourself with a little time. Noticing the sensation of breath. You might feel it in your nostrils. You might feel it in your windpipe. Maybe you feel it in your chest or your ribs, or perhaps your belly. Not judging the breath, just noticing where it's currently housed in your body, where you feel it. And then perhaps sensing that thing that's just underneath the breath, the emotional body. And this part of us tends not to communicate in language. So I invite you to simply feel what you feel. Just approach it softly, kindly, and lovingly. Exploring the emotions that rest just underneath your breath in this moment. We're not looking to attribute a story as to why we feel this way. We're not looking to justify or blame. We're just noticing the experience we're having in this moment. And as we come into the mind, we notice that chitter-chatter voice. But still there's no judgment. We're not looking to change anything. We're just inquiring as to the energy of our mind in this moment. The mind might be quite busy and bouncy. The mind may be quite peaceful and melodic. You just notice the mind and let it be as it is. And then noticing if you can feel into the center of the chest, the heart center. Breathe. Not chasing anything, not trying to do anything. There's nothing to achieve here. You're just softening back into the experience of you in this moment. So just starting to become a little more consciously aware of the body, the position you're in. And just taking a moment as you kind of ease back to just reflect on what you've learned, how you are in this moment, what you perhaps now realize you need. And when you're ready, just wiggling the fingers and toes a little and perhaps just rolling the head a little. It's just an invitation. It's no requirement. If you don't feel that that's what you would need or like to do, then let it slide. And then when you're ready, this is really key for me, just slowly opening and closing the eyes. So there's this sense of easing back into the space you're in, into the room. Never rush, just taking it easy. And when the eyes start to find their focus, just taking time to look around the room. And trust me when I tell you, we're not looking to think, I've always thought this room should be done in a different shade. No, no, no. And we're certainly not looking around the room thinking, I can't believe I've missed that cobweb. No, no, no. We're just breathing. And what we're actually doing is we're calming the nervous system. As we're looking around, our real instinctual self can start to understand that we're safe and that we're okay. And as the body starts to feel this, a softening happens in the belly. And as the softening happens in the belly, the breath naturally drops down. So if you take anything away from today, always take away the possibility of shifting everything. If you just look slowly around your room, reassuring yourself that all is well. It's a big one, particularly for those that suffer panic attacks. And a nice thing to add to that is to just touch out on the floor or the wall and to just physically give yourself something to touch. The sensation coming through your hands and your nerve endings will help to ground you. What else can I tell you about anxiety? Anxiety is your nervous system firing too quickly. We've all heard the stories of the saber-toothed tiger, so I'm not going to bore you with all of that stuff, please. I think you guys are clever enough to understand that. But what I am going to tell you is that if we fail to ignore our parasympathetic nervous system, then we are missing out on an amazing opportunity for ourselves and our general sense of wellness. The parasympathetic nervous system is the opposite side of fight or flight. In the parasympathetic nervous system, we are in rest, digest, tend, and befriend. This is what science calls it. I didn't make this up. So everything that we're going to do today is about tending and befriending. Because let's be honest, and feel free to raise your hand. I can see that we're all women on this particular call. If men are going to come in on the recording, then I apologize. I'm not going to make a stereotype, but yes, I am. Tell me now that as women, do we not give when we really have nothing left in the tank to give and we're still running around and doing 1,000 things? Yeah, like literally almost every hand on this call is up, right? Now every hand is up, right? So what we're failing to do here is tend and befriend to our own body and our own nervous system. And it really doesn't take much. That practice that you were just in, the presence practice, was around 5 minutes long. And I hope that when you came out, you started to feel that you just kind of arrived and you just kind of landed in this call, in this webinar, as opposed to still thinking about what you were doing before you came in and logged on and you wondered about, was the PIN number going to work and who's going to be on the call, what we're going to do. You're just kind of there, but not really there. Whereas when we're in this tend and befriend, we're noticing what we need. We're noticing how we are and how we've shown up. And once we're aware of how we've shown up, the possibility is then to bring a different approach, no? So if we notice that we're super busy minded and, we're feeling really wired, then we can choose a technique that will help us to land and ground. Now, here's the really interesting thing. When we suffer anxiety, and for me, this was also the case, I would cycle between anxiety and depression, sometimes in a day. This is a really common thing that most people do not talk about, especially at doctors. They either prescribe you something for anxiety or they prescribe you something for depression. And they don't actually explain to you how the two things can fire at the same time. So 1 minute you're laying on the floor, sobbing in tears, thinking the whole world is over with absolutely no motivation to do anything about it. And the next minute you're in a panicked, heightened, overwhelmed, anxious state because you don't feel that you can do everything that you need to do to put everything right in the first place. Roughly, right? People kind of identifying with this stuff a little, raise one hand or two. It's, yeah, kind of a little, right? Yeah, and again, actually the majority of hands going up. So what I'm going to give you today is a couple of techniques that serve both. That's winning, right? Because you don't have to remember lots and lots of techniques, and you're going to survive through a low mood, and you're also going to survive through a high energy, brain fog, kind of lack of clarity that anxiety brings you. Sound good? Great. All right, so let's get into it. So we're going to take a breath practice together. The key thing about breathing is to find yourself in a position where your spine is as straight as you can possibly manage, honoring the fact that there is a natural curve to your spine, right? And if you have a scoliosis or something like that, please honor that as well. You want to be honoring the fact that your lungs really sit from here through the rib cage down to here, and they need that space. So this is why when we did the presence practice earlier, I asked you to notice the body, because if we're in a depressed state, there's every possibility that we're going to be sitting forwards and that the head is going to drop. Now think my lungs are from here to here. Can you imagine what that's done to the breath? Breath becomes short and tight. And if you're not sure, try it. Just notice how you are now and take a breath and notice how that feels. And then just bend forwards a little so that the heart is protected. It's as if you're pressing the heart back and rounding through the shoulders. Drop the chin a little, or add in that little look where we look up sometimes. And then just breathe and notice how that feels. Take a couple of breaths there. And notice how quickly that changes your state. It's quite challenging, isn't it? If we had more time, I would add into that walking around, and you would see how quickly you can drop into one of these states. Now let's change that and actually push the chest forwards. Press the lower back forwards, press the chest forwards, and raise the head. So the chin is leading, and you can take the eyes up towards the sky, or you can just focus them on a point. Now notice what happens when you breathe here. You can even draw the shoulders up towards your ears for maximum impact. Don't squeeze too hard. Just recognize that this is a posture, particularly if you bring your hands forward and pretend you're texting on your mobile phone. Oh, yeah. Now you're starting to realize how familiar this feels, right? So what you're doing there is you're really playing with your nervous system, because your spine is the key area that is used as the main superhighway, shall we say, for information for your spinal cord. And as you're pushing the chest forward, drawing the shoulders up, lifting the chin, and actually concertinaing in the lower back, you are triggering various points in your nervous system, in your spinal column, that suggests that we may not be great. We may not be safe. So posturing is everything. So really thinking about coming into the back of the pelvis, there's a sense of softening it into the back of the pelvis. And for me, I can test that for myself now by rolling the pelvis back and then tilting the pelvis forwards. And I can feel where I'm sitting in my buttocks, whether I'm sitting to the back of my sit bones or whether I've tilted them forwards. And this alone can be quite a relaxing practice for the nervous system. It's quite a rocking, calming, tending and befriending practice. But what you're looking to do is feel your sit bones and then see if you can lengthen up. Drop your shoulders down and press your chin back ever so slightly so that you can find your ears are stacked over your shoulders. Beautiful. And then go ahead and remove that deadly serious look that's on your face because you're double hard concentrating. It's not required. There is no test at the end here. Rest assured, and you're getting all this stuff sent to you. So do not put yourself under that much pressure. So take a nice long breath, as comfortable as it can be. Don't force it. And as you exhale, just sigh the breath away and soften back into your body. So you're going to let go of any structural holding and just soften back. Beautiful. So just coming to your breath. I'm not going to ask you to count anything. I'm just going to ask you to take 2 inhales and 1 exhale. It's going to feel a little like this. So we're going to draw 2 inhales in through the nostrils, and then we're going to take 1 exhale out through the mouth. And the exhale out through the mouth is going to be at least the length of the 2 inhales, right? So inhale, inhale, exhale. It's going to feel like that. But I'm not going to take any control of the length of that breath for you. So let's do this together, just softly closing the eyes. And when you're ready, just take 2 inhales, let them be natural, and then 1 longer exhale. We're inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling through a softly open mouth. Inhale, inhale, exhale. If the mind wanders, just coming back to the breath. 2 inhales through the nostrils, and 1 exhale through a softly open mouth. If at any point it feels too challenging, then you just step back and let the body breathe. And if you're good, then just trying 1 or 2 more breaths. Inhale, inhale, exhale. And just staying with that natural breath and just noticing how you are. Notice how the body has responded. Notice how the breath is now. Notice how the emotions have responded. The mind. And your connection to your heart, your connection to the stillness within. And then when you're ready, just as we did before, you deepen the breath just a little. You begin to wiggle your fingers and toes if that feels okay. And you might move the head a little. So there's this sense of really landing back in the body. And then you just softly open and close the eyes. Take time. And then allow yourself to just look around. Beautiful. Really taking your time. See, this breath practice for me is really, really powerful. What it's really doing is working with your nervous system. But here's the thing, right? I think anyone who's had a panic attack will know and testify to the fact that you can have all the breathing practices in your toolkit, But when you're having a panic attack and you are trying to count the breath and trying to make the breath do something in the middle of a panic attack, that is next to impossible, and actually brings more panic and brings more anxiety, because then you feel like you can't do the thing that you've been told to do, which is perhaps inhale for 4 and then exhale for 6 or whatever you've been given to do. It's just too much in that moment. But here's what's beautiful about this. No matter how short that inhale is, as long as you take 2 of them and then 1 exhale that is at least the length of your 2 inhales, that will work. So if you are in that place where the breath literally won't come, right? And I can testify to that, that place where we can get in 2 inhales. Doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter what it sounds like, it will come. And you will notice that those inhales will start to lengthen by their own. You don't need to do that. As your nervous system starts to calm, the breath will slowly lengthen. Inhale, inhale, 1 exhale. No counting required. All you've got to remember, the 2 inhales, the exhale is the same length at least. Make sense? Yeah, good. Okay, because I can go over this in as many different ways as we need until it kind of sinks in. So I'm glad it's making sense. And can you feel the difference? I'm looking at a lot of softer faces looking back at me now. You can feel how this is starting to work, right? And already we're still stimulating the brain with all this information I'm giving you. So it's definitely working. This is great. So let's come into a whole nother breathing practice. This one does require some counting, and I'm going to do that counting for you. But here's why I like it. It's a beautiful practice. It's called coherent breathing. So that's something you can Google and you can find out there. You can get apps on your phone that will do this counting for you so that you don't need to do the counting. So that's a beautiful thing. Why I'm going to go with this one on the basis of everything I've just said about not having to count is coherent breathing is so powerful to bring the nervous system back into balance. So whether you're in the place with a depression or whether you're in the place with the anxiety, the nervous system is at opposite ends of the scale. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to find your way back to the center. That's why this one's a winner for me. All right. So you will find if you're suffering anxiety or insomnia, the response to that will slowly drop down, right? But if you are suffering anger and if you are suffering emotional impulse outbursts, they too will drop down. But what you'll find is your mental clarity, when we talk about fog, the fogging will disappear and the mental clarity will come, as will the focus of motivation. So this works from opposite ends and brings you back into the middle. It's a really powerful one. But here's the thing that I don't want you to think about. You don't need to be inhaling for 6 and exhaling for 6 if that feels too much right now, which is a beautiful thing, because you may start with an inhale of 3 and an exhale of 3 and slowly build yourself towards the 6 count, which means that you've got lots to play with and lots of time to do it in. So I'm going to count for 6, but if you find that a little too much, then drop away and try 5, drop away and try 4. Just see how you go. Please don't give yourself a hard time. Remember, with these practices, there's absolutely nothing to get right or wrong. There's no exam. There's no one that's going to come behind you and give you a certificate or a gold star. I mean, I can get Sarah to give you those things if you want. I can, have her post you something out. Steph's like, yes, please. Please, can I have a certificate for breathing? Yes, you can. We will make that happen for you. But there's nothing you're going to get wrong about this. So don't strive for it to be something that you're not ready for it to be yet. Your breath is the most beautiful thing. I truly believe this. I have it tattooed on me. It's very important to me. And what I really believe about the breath is that it's your best friend. It's the thing that's gifted to you when you first arrive on this planet. And it stays with you every single moment of your journey, every single moment, guiding you with things like anxiety and depression, guiding you that these are little markers saying something needs to change because in your heart, you're just not happy. And it could just simply be that you need to take 10 minutes to rest every day. It doesn't need to be big life changes, but your body's guiding you through your breath. So, because of that, there is absolutely no need for you to start rushing this relationship with your breath. All right. And I mean that from my heart, because the more you rush this relationship, the more you're going to build yourself into a place of anxiety because you're striving. So come from your heart and come from a place of playful curiosity, and let's see where we go. All right. So we're going to try some breathing. So just gently closing the eyes and noticing the position of your body. So as we come into our coherent breathing practice, noticing how the body feels. Can you let go in the jaw? Can you drop the shoulders down and away from your ears? Can you soften the eyes? How would it be if the very next time you exhale, you just soften the whole body and sink back a little into you? Just noticing the breath. Recognizing that we're just going to play a little here. There's nothing to get right. Allowing the breath to be easeful. And noticing if it might be okay to take a slightly deeper inhale, and as such a slightly deeper exhale. Beautiful. Nothing to force. So we're going to start to breathe together now. And I'd love you to just join in with the count. But if at any point it feels too much, just step away and come back to natural breathing. And then join in again. It's just an invitation. There's no orders here. Do whatever feels right for you. So we're going to start on the inhale. And we're inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. And as you complete your next exhale, just softening back into natural breathing. And just noticing how you feel in the body, in the breath, the emotion, in the mind. And again, in that connection to your heart. And then when you're ready, just starting to consciously deepen the breath a little. Wiggle fingers and toes. And just take your time to open and close your eyes and move your head and look around your space. Beautiful. See, the wonderful thing about all of these practices are that there are many, many different types. And, you know, as I've discussed here, some involve counting, some do not. So we can always take a different technique and something that will help us in the situation that we're in. So I've shared a couple with you today, and I think it's only fair that I share one of my most favorite things, which is laying down and relaxing. Oh my God, it would just be rude not to, right? So I feel like let's get ourselves super comfy now. I'd love for you to think about making a nest. And I genuinely mean this. Build yourself a little something that is so delicious, you just almost don't want to get out. So think about cocooning yourself away and really take your time to do this. You're very welcome to dive into bed. Those of you that have iPads and stuff, if you feel that, you know, your connection is good, then go ahead and grab a bed somewhere. Very welcome to lay on a yoga mat. Whether you are in a bed, on a sofa, or on your yoga mat, think about putting a little support under your knees. So you might grab a pillow, you might grab some folded up blankets, you might grab a bolster if you have such a thing. If you have a hood on, just think about pulling that up. You don't actually have to put it over your head, but just lay it out behind you so that it's not actually laying on the back of your lungs, crumpled up underneath you. Because believe it or not, that will be enough to disrupt your breathing a little and to trigger your nervous system. So, really thinking about this nest being something that serves you. Often with things like anxiety, we are experiencing a sense that delivers us into a place of lack of safety. So, building this nest is about creating safety. Yes to that head stare. That's beautiful. So, this is about safety creation. And for some of us, actually laying down and closing our eyes just isn't an option. And if that's the case for you, then please know that I fully appreciate that. And I offer you the ability to just take a soft focus. So that means you might just softly look down towards the end of your nose. This does not mean cross-eyed. It's not something the optician is going to do to strengthen your eye muscles. It's just a sense of looking down a little, softening the focus. And what we're doing here is we're taking the energy away from that busy thinking mind, but we're not closing the eyes if we don't feel safe to do so. Another thing to think about if you're in that position with anxiety of not feeling safe in the body, you may not want to lay on your back with your belly exposed. That may just feel way too unsafe for you, and that's okay too. So it can be really nice to take yourself onto one side, particularly if you're laying against a wall or the back of a sofa. You can literally press your back against the wall. Or if you do have a bolster or something along those lines, you can literally place the bolster on the mat and lay back against the bolster. Now, what this is going to do for you is pop you onto one side. And then you're just going to bring those knees up and place your hands or a pillow, and you are instantly in what we would just refer to as the fetal position. Real simple stuff, huh? And it's really okay to tuck the chin in as well. And I find it particularly soothing to actually take my hand and place it over my head. So what we're doing here is we're learning to tend and befriend our own body and our own system. Anxiety tells us that we've been pushing ourselves a little too far for a myriad of different reasons. So now we're just going to come back to the body, and touch and position are key things. So a position may be laying on your back, as I said, or it may be laying on your side. You may or may not have your eyes closed. That's entirely up to you. And it's about what feels safe and appropriate for you in that moment. And recognize that every time you come to the mat, you are a different person. So you may feel safe to close your eyes on Monday, and you may not feel safe to close your eyes on Tuesday, and that's okay too. Progress doesn't make a straight line. Okay, so let's get into this now that we've talked about some of the scientific things. So just closing your eyes, if that feels okay, or taking that soft focus. And just listening into the body, noticing what it might be asking you to do. If you were listening in, how would it be guiding you now to just find an extra 10% more comfort? It might be a softening through the fingers. It might be a letting go of the tiniest muscles in the back of your body as you truly allow yourself to meet the surface you're resting into. Let your next breath in be as deep as you can comfortably manage. And then open the mouth, and with a little sigh, just let the breath go. There's absolutely nothing you need to do now. Let the eyes soften. Allow the forehead and the scalp to soften. Allow the weight of the head to truly meet the surface you're resting onto. Notice how that gives your neck permission to let go. Breathe. Feel all of the shoulder blades, tops of the shoulders and the arms just melting now. You're going to put down everything you've been carrying. Just pop it to one side. Feel how those shoulders and arms rest. An awareness of your belly just softly moving with the breath. Feel the whole torso just letting go now. Just softening in the pelvis, around the hip. Breathe. And just noticing the length of each leg. And how would it be to just let those legs be heavy as they sink back to the surface? Aware of each foot and every toe. Just feeling the whole body. Noticing the parts of your body that are in full contact with the surface. And exploring the spaces between the back of the body and the surface you're resting onto. With each exhale, dropping even deeper as you let go everything you're holding. Softening back into the ease of the body as it lets go for you. Softening back into the ease of the breath. Ease of the mind. And the ease of your heart. Nothing to achieve. Just playfully watching the breath. Feel the breath as it softens and finds its ease. Nothing you need to do. Coming consciously back to the breath. Just feel the body breathing. Easing back into these precious moments that are just for you. Connection to the body, breath, emotions, mind, and heart. All of you resting with you. So just starting to become consciously aware of your body, the position you've taken, and just noticing how you are in this moment. Body, breath, emotions, mind, and that connection to you. And just allow the breath to start to deepen a little. Just as we did before, we wiggle fingers and toes, we move the head a little, and we take it real slow. And this time we just inquire of the body, do you need to move? How would it be to perhaps draw your knees up to your chest and just hug them in, or stand your feet and rock your knees from side to side? This is just an offering. It's nothing you have to do. It might be something that feels right to do. And then when you're ready, just rolling gently onto whatever side feels good for you. If you have a medical reason to not be on your side, then please do remain on your back. It's quite okay. And as you come to rest there, perhaps taking a moment to just reflect on how you were and who you were as you first came to this webinar today, or to this practice today. Recalling what you felt or perhaps didn't feel in your body, how your breath was, what you were aware of or perhaps not aware of emotionally. Connection with your thoughts and the energy of the mind. And that connection to your heart. And then when you're ready, just as we did before, just softly opening and closing the eyes as you start to take in the space around you. And breathe here. As and when it feels right for you, just very gently bringing yourself up to sitting. You can stay wrapped up if you would like to. Beautiful. And just noticing how you are. Taking a minute or two.